Hello, and welcome to all of my beautiful, vibrant souls who have their North Node in Cancer or who are possibly cross-watching for somebody who does. Welcome to your North Node reading. I want to apologize for the cat fur. As soon as I started filming, my cat jumped up here, and he's a Maine Coon tabby mix. So, sorry, I got as much of it off as I could, but, you know, progress, not perfection. I am going to be going over briefly, kind of like explaining a little bit about this placement. And then we're going to be pulling, we have oracle cards already selected, and we'll be pulling tarot for further details. Keep in mind that this is meant to be, your North Node journey is a lifelong journey. So these are supposed to be messages for your North Node journey. Whenever you find them, knowing that this is for your journey at this time, they can shift and change as you go along. I also want to say this preface this reading with the caveat that this is, excuse me, oh my gosh, my allergies, I'm sorry guys. This is predicated on North Node in Cancer in and of itself, but keep in mind that this will be very, very specific to you or very differently impact you based on the house it's in, as well as how your North Node is aspected. So if you are looking for this reading for your own North Node journey and understanding that a little bit better, please DM me. I have my shop link in the description box below, but please DM me. I'm happy to make a custom reading. If I get enough requests for these readings, I will add it as a permanent fixture to my shop. So, yeah. I think that was everything I wanted to say. Okay, so what does North Node in Cancer mean? So your North and South Node are always opposite from one another on the wheel of the zodiac. Your North Node is, known as kind of like your destiny, what you're moving toward in this lifetime, what you're building, and that's very true. But part of the reason why, and I think this is important to acknowledge this, is that your North Node is so important because of what your South Node is. So your South Node, like I said, they're always opposites. Your South Node is an energy that you've already mastered. This is why a lot of people kind of look to the South Node as a past life placement, which I agree with really wholeheartedly. So yeah, it's always kind of predicated on the fact that you've already mastered your South Node energy. So you're being asked to move toward its opposite in order to kind of equilibrate and seek balance at a soul level. Now, the reason why this is important is because all oppositional signs on the wheel of the zodiac, sorry, there's cat fur everywhere, they all have some kind of common, sometimes it's like shadow side. Essentially what it is that they have an issue or a problem they're trying to solve, and they start at opposite ends of the spectrum. And the goal is to borrow from one another and meet in the middle, so you have, excuse my hiccup, so you have a balanced, holistic approach to solving a problem. And so because your South Node is an energy that you've already mastered, you've already dealt with, you're always being pushed toward your North Node with the idea that you will achieve balance at a soul level. You'll kind of end up in the middle. And, I say this too with all oppositions when I'm dealing with people's natal charts. It's a similar energy, right? You have placements that are across from one another. The goal is that you take strengths from both and you use them to navigate through those energies. And so oppositions can often be challenging in the first part of life, the first half of life or so, or however long it takes an individual. They often start off as deficits that are turned into assets later, because once you have mastered both the energies of the opposition and utilize the strengths from both to be able to solve your problems, they start off as, kind of a mixed bag of strengths and weaknesses, but as soon as you learn to kind of really work with both of these energies, know when to use which approach, they turn into an asset because you've really mastered both, and you can use it as a very blended tool to solve a problem. And the same thing goes for your North and South Node, and I think that's really, really important. I will say I have put out a South Node series, so if you are interested, in doing a deeper dive into your South Node to try to understand this, your South Node, North Node axis and the journey into your North Node energy, please feel free to check that out. I also offer Let's try again, shall we? I also offer South Node readings. So if you're looking for that very, more specifically for yourself in the context of your personal astrology, I also do that. Excuse me. Oh, that was a good one, you guys. All right, I needed that. I'm a new woman. So, North Node in Cancer puts your, that's another thing I was going to say. North Node in Cancer puts your South Node in Capricorn. I want to mention, too, that because your South Node is what you've mastered, there's going to come a point in your journey in this lifetime where it starts to become less and less effective for you, right? A lot of people tend to default to their South Node energy because not only is it what they're good at, what they know how to do, but in previous lifetimes, it has served them, right? They have built up those skills for a reason, and the reason why is that those skills serve them in another life. So oftentimes we default to our South Node energy, and it works for, a while. It works for a portion of our journey. But you can tell that you're getting closer and closer to being really pushed toward your North Node energy when your South Node energy starts to become less and less effective. And this can look different for, every single person who experiences it. But some kind of common signs of your South Node energy not working is when you go to default to that, you experience more burnout, more irritation. Perhaps people are less receptive to your approach to solving a problem. It's maybe you have a portion of your life that's centered around the energy, like your career is predicated on those skills, and all of a sudden you're not advancing anymore. All of these are signs, and the key difference being this used to help you, this used to work for you, and now it's creating stagnancy and outright detriment in your life. That's a really good indicator that it's time to switch it up and it's time to move toward your North Node energy more efficiently, or I don't want to say aggressively, but enthusiastically. That's a good word. More enthusiastically. So if you guys are interested in learning more about that, like what that looks like when you're being pushed toward your North Node, please put it in the comments and I'll make a separate video about it, because I do think it's really important. But these are all kind of like really quick overview indicators of the the warnings, the 5-minute warning where your guides are like, okay, it's time to start moving to, into this new territory. So keep that in mind. So North Node in Cancer puts your South Node in Capricorn, like I was talking about. And first of all, the Cancer-Capricorn axis addresses the energy of parenting, right? Cancer's the archetypal mother, Capricorn's the archetypal father. Capricorn is also the great teacher of the zodiac, and I want to kind of mention that. So these two have oppositional approaches to parenting, right? How to nurture, how to support as somebody goes through their growth. And this can be applied both to, the traditional role of parenting, but also in reparenting the self. Because to offer mothering energy, to offer that fatherhood energy to somebody, you don't have to be, a literal parent, right? I've known people who have offered me maternal energy when I really needed it in a moment, right? So to bring that to somebody, whether it's to yourself, to your own children, to family members, you don't have to exclusively be a parent. So when I'm talking about this, it doesn't have to apply just to like a traditional parenting journey. But essentially, they're both kind of trying to help, like I said, support, teach, nurture, and help others grow. And they take oppositional approaches to this. So Capricorn tends to be known for being very austere, but Capricorn tends to be in that energy of that, like I said, archetypal father and teacher of like, I'm going to teach you how to handle life's problems as they come and be self-sufficient, so you are as strong as you can be, so you don't have to rely on anybody else, so you can be proficient and adept, and you can really live life on your own terms because you're not dependent on another person. That's like the way that Capricorn seeks to help people more often than not, very teachable moments. Whereas Cancer's energy is more maternal, right? Very nurturing, very sensitive, very protective, very much about house and home as well. Cancer is, there to kind of help support people, especially in their moments where they really need that loving support. Whereas Capricorn's kind of more teaching people how to look down the road toward their long-term goals, right? How to put in the effort now, how to sweat it out, how to, you know, be on the grind now for your future vision. Cancer's a little bit more in that, you know, that rest, take a break, you know, again, nurturing, specifically with like a nurturing in the now. Not saying that Cancer doesn't think long term, not saying that Capricorn can't show up in the moment, but these, when they kind of look at their focuses, this is kind of how it tends to play out more often than not. So North Node in Cancer, this can be a call for several things, but the biggest of which is to very much get in touch with that maternal energy. Specifically when it comes to self-compassion. I see this a lot with South Node in Capricorn. It's very anecdotal, but I do see it. So one of the things, excuse me, that you've already mastered is, sorry about the Band-Aids, by the way. I burnt my thumb on a curling iron and it looks awful. So I've covered it up. But South Node in Capricorn means that you've really mastered, that you've learned how to sweat it out, right? You're likely very driven, very goal-oriented. You know, you're somebody who's not afraid to put in the effort, put in the hard work. You're very capable, very competent, and this has served you for quite a long time. And generally speaking, I feel like, especially with South Node in Cap, the period of time in your life where your South Node is still working for you is going to be very, it's applauded, right? Those are skills that our society tends to hyper value, right? That hyper independence, that hard work ethic, and that's not a problem. But the reason why I'm saying this is because journeying into your North Node energy with North Node in Cancer, I feel like is going to have to be a lot more subtle, a lot more internal, a lot more self-directed. So that moment where your South Node really stops working for you might hit very hard. Or it will be, because some people, like, you know, they have a turning point where they're like, all right, I am now moving toward my North Node. I don't have another chance. Like, I can't go back, right? And I feel like for this group, it's going to be more externally. I don't think a lot of things are going to, like, some people have that kind of shift, like that tower moment where it's like, whoa, okay, you know, judgment card energy. I've got to do something different. This group, I don't feel like you're going to have that, because I don't think you'll have the added societal pressure. Because again, those South Node skills you possess are things that our society values heavily. So like I said, you might be very perfectionistic, very goal-driven, very, you know, maybe career-focused. Maybe being in school, you were really focused on your studies. This is also somebody who has to, like I said, take up a parenting role. This may have kind of forced you into this. This is like, you know, oldest sibling kind of helping taking care of their younger siblings. This could be where you had significant struggle in the household, potentially like, you know, material instability, poverty. You know, there was an absent parent and you had to kind of take up that role where you were really taking on adult responsibilities. You were parentified. There we go. I was like, what's the word? Possibly parentified from a really early age. And this produces that kind of, like I said, more austere energy where you're really goal-oriented, goal-focused. I feel like you're very good at delaying gratification for what you want, right? You see a long-term goal and you're not afraid to do the work to get there. This is also, you know, even if it's not about delaying gratification, you have a long-term vision, a long-term focus, and nobody can dissuade you from that. Not anything, because you're not afraid to do the work. This is also a placement where you see the bigger picture. And I don't think we talk about that enough with Capricorn, but I really like that about Capricorn energy. You see the bigger picture, and thus it's like understanding what you're doing in the moment and how it impacts your future, and kind of adjusting accordingly. So these are all kind of South Node Capricorn traits. But the kind of shadowy aspect here is, like I said, you can be very hard on yourself. You could potentially be very hard on others as well, because a lot of times how we treat others is a reflection of how we treat ourselves. And so you might tend to be very hard on yourself and others, very, back up, Sinessa, very perfectionistic. And this might make it really, really difficult for you, especially depending on what house your North Node is in. This might make it really, really difficult for you to be able to be kind and gentle with yourself. That's the biggest thing I see about this placement, is how you nurture yourself, right? How you kind of bring that almost maternal energy to yourself. North Node in Cancer may also indicate that you sometimes might struggle to get in touch with your feelings. Because Cancer is very, very sensitive, even though they keep it kind of behind closed doors. It's very, very sensitive. And also too, in the Wheel of the Zodiac, Cancer rules the 4th house, and Capricorn, I kind of like that. I'm going to start saying it. Capricorn rules, I'm just Capricool, baby. Capricorn rules the 10th house. So the 4th house is who you are behind closed doors, right? This is your IC line, your Imam Coli, versus your MC, your midheaven, your medium Coli. And, oh, sorry, there's like cat fur everywhere. It's driving me nuts. My Virgo placements are showing. But, you know, so having your South Node be in more of like a public recognition related house, like traditionally where it rules, and your North Node more in that IC kind of energy. Again, this is where I'm saying a lot of these are going to be very internal changes. A lot of people aren't going to be able to, you know, some people, like I said, they have like a North Node journey, and almost like the people in their life, their loved ones could point to it and be like, oh yeah, you did start, you know, acting really differently here. You did start making big changes here. For you guys, I don't think anybody's going to really take stock of this and take notice, because so much of this is internal. They might start to notice where if you do that, if you do what we were kind of just talking about, where you might be prone toward being, you know, very hard on others as well as hard on yourself. That might be kind of where people notice if your approach changes or softens a little bit. And this also could just be where you're not hard on others, you're just very, very serious. People might notice that you kind of have a little bit softer energy as you go through this journey. But largely this is going to be internal, right? This is going to be about the changes that happen inwardly. And like I said, a huge caveat of this placement is that you do have that kind of, you know, 10th house. Other people can kind of see your progress. Like it is very, your South Node energy, it tends to be more externalized, publicly noticed, and lauded. So your North Node energy is going to be more quiet, internalized, private for you. And I do feel like it will be hard, because there are going to be ways in which it really changes how you relate to your South Node energy. So having your North Node in Cancer, this is all about, like I said, being sensitive with yourself, possibly with others. This is also about, for a lot of you, this is going to be about knowing when to take rest, take breaks, and to not judge yourself or beat yourself up for that. That's a huge caveat, like a huge, or not caveat, facet. There we go. A huge facet. Sorry, you guys. I'm only on my first cup of coffee, and it usually takes me like 2 or 3 to wake up. She says as she sips. Oh, it's so good. My God. Okay. So this is going to be really like a huge factor for you. And for you guys, I don't know why. So they're showing me the MC, the MC glyph. For you guys, I feel like looking at your North Node juxtaposed with your, or not juxtaposed, in conjunction with your, well, not literal conjunction, you guys, at the intersection of your North Node and your midheaven. So looking at where your midheaven is, I do feel like as you move toward your North Node, regardless of how it's aspected with your midheaven, if at all, I do feel like this equilibration process is going to help you when it comes to reaching your midheaven energy, your, you know, and your 10th house, whatever, you know, because that's your status, your legacy, what you build for yourself in this lifetime. So I think you're very comfortable with the idea of building something for yourself, but building something for yourself that you actually like, that really makes you happy. And knowing how to do so in such a way where you're not burning yourself out is going to be this is where moving toward your North Node energy is going to help you with that, because this group might be very, very prone to burnout. This also could be where South Node and Capricorn can be a little bit likely to fall prey to, I'm sorry if there's like an uneven shadow here. The sun is coming through, but I wanted to make sure that I was inspired to work on this now, so I wanted to get it done now. But this placement can really fall prey to, you know, having a goal having an overarching, like, you know, this is like the 5-10 year plan kind of person. And like this is like when you have like a fifth grader who's got a 10-year plan. But this, you know, this is where you have like a long-term goal, vision, or plan, and you're so focused on reaching that you might not take time along the journey to pause, rest, and reflect and be like, does this sit well with me? Is this still what I want? Does this honor me? Does this make me happy? I feel like these are questions that you might not stop to answer for yourself a lot, or you might defer a lot, right? It's like, oh, it's, you know, I'll be happy when I reach this goal. Oh, it doesn't matter if I'm happy right now. You know, I'll be happy later when I retire and I've got a solid retirement, right? And that's not wrong. But if you are unhappy for 2/3 of your life just to hopefully be happy in the last third, you know, that might not always yield the most positive life experience. So having your North Node in Cancer is really all about checking in with your feelings and becoming very comfortable with your feelings. Like I said, this is also about learning to take breaks, take rests, and being able to nurture your needs in the moment. And this is where I feel like this is going to be hyper like critical to moving toward your midheaven energy, is that equilibrating and learning how to take breaks and, like I said, nurture yourself, figure out what makes you happy, process your feelings, etc., is going to be, it's going to help you like learn how to have a balanced approach so you can avoid burnout. That's a huge thing. And this is also too, so, you know, both signs are feminine energy with earth and water showing up. But there's always this energy to me of Capricorn of being on the move, right? Because you're always building, you're always on the grind, you're doing the next thing, the next step of the plan, right? You're continuing to evolve and progress and build. Whereas Cancer kind of tends to be, like said, about house and home, you know, resting, recuperating, being in that kind of receptive energy. So it's a little bit more about the now. And so for you guys as well, there's something here about like kind of taking breaks to enjoy what you've made as well. A lot of you guys might be prone to, you know, being like, all right, I accomplished this, that's awesome. Now the next step, There's something here about learning to stop and not only rest, but in those moments of rest, appreciate what you've done. So these are all kind of things that North Node in Cancer can kind of talk about. Just make sure you guys can see. Yeah, okay. So with that, I want to get started with your cards. So here we have a card from the Blood and Honey Major Arcana deck, and this is kind of like an archetype deck for me. This is going to talk about the energy that you're being encouraged to embody or embrace right now at this point on your North Node journey to help move you forward. I have 2 oracle cards to kind of give an idea of where this might be popping up in your life right now, how this might apply. I have an oracle card to get a spirit message, or spirit, whoops, no, hang on, back up. Spirit guide message, there we go. You guys, I can't talk. Maybe some of you guys, you know, your North Node is interestingly aspected with your Mercury or something. You guys going, it's woof. So I'm having a time of it, baby. And then I will be pulling tarot to get further details. So let's see what you've got going on. You have, strength. Okay, I'm actually gonna leave this. I was you know, telling myself, like, if one comes up reversed, I'm going to keep it reversed. So you guys have strength. This is Leo energy, so some of you might have significant Leo placements as well. But I think this is really interesting that this is reversed, right? Because even look, like here, it's really interesting. Normally the strength card depicts a woman and she's like petting a lion. Oh my God, okay, I can't talk. Petting a lion, and this is all about her taming her kind of inner demons. But here we have a man that's shown. He has the sword, and this is always making me think of the sword of truth, and he has one eye covered. And it's interestingly enough his left eye, right? So the left side of the body is the divine feminine side, and thus it's, you know, associated with our intuition, our receptivity, our psychic powers. So what I see when he's covering his eye with the sword of truth, first of all, he's tensed, he's ready for battle, but he's looking at things from a very earthly perspective, right? Something that, you know, and this also, you can interpret this as he's using his intuition to guide him, because the sword of truth is over that left eye. But what I'm almost getting here is it's like really utilizing like a very earthly perspective to guide you forward. So this is reversed. And normally where this is all about, you know, emotional strength, finding your center, your patience, staying grounded in your emotions. This is all about like withstanding trials, right? But it's reversed. And so this is exactly what I was talking about for you guys, where I feel like right now, your guides are really encouraging you to do an emotional purge, right? We have a lot of green here, but it's a deep green. And so green is associated with the heart chakra. And whenever I see kind of like lighter colors, this is like a lighter, you know, a lighter side of an energy, and darker colors are like a heavier, darker side of that energy. So this is like a heavier emotional energy. I feel like a lot of you guys, in fact, it's really interesting because Capricorn, the color of Capricorn to me, because for me, most words have a color attached. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm like synesthetic. I don't know if that's the case, but most things have some other thing attached. It's usually colors, sometimes it's numbers, it's different things. So this is the color of Capricorn, which I think is really fascinating. The more you know. Apparently that's half the battle, so I'm told. So what you guys are being encouraged right now to embrace on this journey is really getting in touch with your emotions. Like I said, there's an emotional purge that needs to happen. Because I feel like you guys, when it comes to your life, you may have experienced quite a lot of challenges. Capricorn is also, you know, it's ruled by Saturn, and it's the Lord of Karma. So you may have had to overcome a lot of karmic challenges and cycles in your life. And this is like kind of prepared you for battle, right? And vice versa. You know, your South Node energy means that South Node in Capricorn means you're more likely to be able to overcome these challenges, and these challenges bring that energy out of you and cultivate that energy from you. So you may have always kind of been in this position, in this role in some way, shape, or form. But I feel like what your guides are encouraging you to do is really, really take time to, like I said, do an emotional purge. I'm going to do a deeper dive on that in a minute, but I want to see your other cards first. I have so much cat fur on me. I'm sorry. I don't have a good excuse. My life is just like this. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So we have card 74 with nature. That reduces to a 2. Because it reduces to an 11 and then a 2. Wow, and you have Sunstone with Sacral Chakra Deep Knowing, card 6. Okay. Can you mostly see that? Again, I'm sorry for it's very Baroque, right? Very much light and shadows. Ooh. Yeah, so, you know, with, and we're going to get to this in a minute. With these cards, what I'm almost getting is you may have been in a period of your life where things are kind of slowing down. I don't feel like this is you slowing down for the most part. I feel like this is things around you. This is what I mean, where it might be very subtle, but things kind of stop feeding your South Node energy at some point. And for you guys, where your South Node is generally very lauded and rewarded, societally speaking, I feel like things around you are kind of like falling away on their own. This could be where some of you may have found that you got laid off or furloughed due to the pandemic. And this has been like, you know, especially if you've built up your identity around work. Similarly with your studies, if you were pursuing something and then you've had to take a break. Some of you are parents, and your parents, some of you are parents and your children have, you know, left the nest. So you might kind of be like sort of on your own in that regard. Some of you might be retiring. But there's something where this feels like this is externally cultivated. I want to know more about it because I'm nosy. Okay, the 3 of Wands reversed and the Ace of Swords reversed. I want to pull one more. And the 4 of Swords reversed. There we go. There's that rest. Yeah, 10 of Swords at the bottom. I feel like you're going through something challenging, or you're experiencing this as very challenging. So with that 10 of Swords, I'm actually going to take the 10 of Swords because I feel like that's applicable. Yeah, beneath that is the Queen of Pentacles. That's you guys. So something with these two, something is stalling out. I'm hearing sputtering out, or just like outright fell apart, right? And I feel like with the Ace of Swords reversed, you still don't have an answer about why. This is, you know, your ships are coming in, your plans are kind of coming together, things are happening for you, things are manifesting for you. Some of you may have been either looking to move or you're being forced to move due to outside circumstances. And this just feels like this energy of like almost being defeated, right? especially with this 10 of Swords, where it's like, I worked hard, I put in all this effort, I've given X number of years to this company, I've done this, I've been in this role for a long time. Why is this happening to me? Why do I deserve this, right? Because I feel like for you guys, it's like, I did the hard work. That's what I'm supposed to do. Why is this now not coming together? This is why, because you are being encouraged to sort of be integrating more of that North Node energy. And with deep knowing, I feel like you guys know, and nature coming through, because this card for me, this can talk about being, outside, being in nature, if you can manage that, depending on where you are in the world. But this is also about your true nature, I feel like, right? Specifically where you see how the Merkaba is a different color in the background. In this deck, some are different and some are the same. So when they're the same, this is what I take that to mean that your internal frequency is manifested out into your external reality, right? You're in alignment. And this one, there's still some alignment that has to happen, right? And with it being purple and green, this is very much your, third eye crown chakra and your heart chakra. So this is like getting into alignment emotionally and spiritually, right? And this is why I feel like you're being called at this time to do an emotional deep dive and purge. And I think with deep knowing, you know that something isn't aligned, but you might not know what, right? And sometimes when we have this feeling, it can be very, very subtle. It's like, especially with it being sacral chakra, this is all about what you want, what you desire. The sacral chakra is also our emotional center, our water chakra. So, being like knowing what would make you happy. Because, I feel like this is something where you may have trouble answering that. Like, let's say something falls apart, right? And you're like, okay, I've got to regroup and start building again. I've got to start my empire again. What do I want? What would make me happy? And I feel like that's the biggest question that stumps you guys, is like, I don't know. Like, maybe it's never been about you before. It's never really been your time to make your life, according to your own desires. And so the first part of this is really being able to do this emotional purge. You're breaking down those walls and you're purging old emotions that need to be expressed, right? You're getting in touch with old emotions. You might be on an inner child healing journey right now, or very soon will be. But there's something that hasn't manifested or has fallen apart, and this is largely due to external circumstances. And I feel like with the Ace of Swords reversed, you guys are still kind of questioning why, or you're lacking clarity around what to do next. And I feel like with the Four of Swords, you're being encouraged first and foremost. Excuse my burp. You're being encouraged first and foremost to seek rest, as well as to seek meditation, right? Connecting with your spirit guides. Because with this deep knowing, I feel like something needs to change. Something has to shift, but you're not really even sure where to start with that process. And your guides want to let you know that's okay. That's all right. But they want to help you. But it does require being very vulnerable, open, and honest with them and with yourself at the very least. So let's see what your message is. Okay, ground yourself. Yeah, being distracted, unfocused, tired, irritated, and impatient are all signs that you're ungrounded. Absolutely. Now is the time to become centered and allow Spirit to help you ground yourself and reconnect with Divine Source. Absolutely. So I feel like, first of all, you guys might need to ground right now. Doing grounding meditations is helpful. Again, getting outside if you're able to, very, very helpful. But you may also be experiencing some of these kind of symptoms where you are irritated, sort of distracted. Your energy is splintered, and you're needing to kind of call it back in and go go within, go within and seek answers and healing internally. This is also where you're very likely to be able to have a greater ability to receive messages from your spirit guides. But this is kind of that energy right here, is, really needing to rest, recuperate, meditate, reflect, connect with your guides, because there's a lot that, we have all the birds here. These kind of are like spirit, divine messages for me, but this can also talk about freedom. There's a lot that your spirit guides are trying to bring to you in order to help free you, because I do feel like whatever has happened here, or whatever is happening, is very distressing for you, but you might not be tapping into those feelings entirely, meaning they're kind of just getting built up and they're not really being appropriately expressed, in the sense that you might be getting, so whatever, let's say this is a job, that you get let go from. Let's say the company that you work for is, suffers a massive loss, and really has to like do a huge wave of layoffs and you get laid off, right? This feels like this is something where it's that frustration of like, I worked really hard, or, you know, I did everything I'm supposed to do. Why is this not, you know, like, why is this happening? Why is this not working? And I feel like also too, it's this energy of like, it's in it. Something I'm getting here is that these circumstances are externally imposed, because if they were internally imposed, I feel like you'd be still sticking in that South Node Capricorn energy, right? So like, let's say if this was, you know, a huge mistake that you made, you would be like, okay, I effed up here. I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna do this. You have no problem taking responsibility for your mistakes. That's a strong suit that you have. But these are externally imposed. Or, you know, a certain aspect of this is out of your hands, because it's not about you doing the wrong thing. It's not about you needing to fix something you've done. It's not about you on the grind, right, on the build. This is about you taking a moment, taking some time to stop and to like get in touch with your feelings, to tune into yourself. A lot of you might also have, you know, you might have mother wounds or father wounds, but especially like, there needs to be a healing with your maternal energy and how you're mothering yourself. And right now is a time where you're being encouraged to kind of go inward and get in touch with that. So I want to pull more cards and see what your spirit guides want to talk about. Oh, there's an extra card. Haha, there we go. I want to look at this card but not take it. Okay, the Fool. There is a new beginning that's coming, right? And in this deck, this is labeled with potential. Yeah, but the Nine of Wands reversed at the bottom. You guys are tired. So this is a time all about rest and recuperation, as well as, again, that emotional reflection and purge. So you have, yep, the Five of Pentacles. Wow, okay, the Tower. So maybe you guys do have a Tower moment. Again, I do feel like this is mostly internal, though. The Eight of Pentacles, this is most likely revolving around work, you guys. The Four of Pentacles, okay. And Strength, okay. Yeah, see, I feel like you guys have, you know, we have Leo energy here. I feel like you guys have been strong about this. This is very likely about work or about your material world. Again, possibly your home. But this is something you put in a ton of work on, because you're not afraid to do that. You've been very patient. You've been holding, you know, your position, holding your strength. This is something that very likely threatens your security or your sense of security, right? And again, I think it's interesting. The Tower is looking to the Eight of Pentacles, because this is all about a breakdown of something that that's not stable, that needs to be rebuilt on a more stable foundation. And I feel like this is confusing for you, because it's like, well, I'm trying to build a stable foundation, but this is at a very external, earthly level, or a very material level. And what's actually happening is that while, yes, you have been doing the hard work and you've built some element of stability in your external, 3D world life, it is also served to be a comfort zone for you that you now need to break free from, and that's where this Tower moment comes in. And I feel like a lot of you with the Five of Pentacles are feeling, are struggling with feeling like the universe has kind of abandoned you, right? Struggling with feeling like the universe has kind of left you to figure it out on your own. But I also feel like, because there's the third eye and it's open here, I also feel like intuitively you guys know that there's greater purpose to what you're experiencing right now. So you're going back and forth between being frustrated and like struggling with those emotions, and then also kind of being like, okay, there's greater purpose in it. And I feel like you guys as well are defaulting to that South Node and Cap energy, in the sense of being like, okay, I'm just gonna deal with this. I'm gonna, just like ride it out. I'll, wait out the storm. Things have to get better. And normally that serves you, but I feel like you're becoming distracted and irritated, ungrounded, unfocused, because you're ignoring some of those emotions. This is all to try to get you to purge emotionally and to take a rest really heavily. So yeah, this is all pretty synchronistic. I'm like, oh, there's not really a lot more for me to say. So like I said, taking time to meditate, to ground, taking time to, she's even got the hand over the heart, get in touch with your emotions. To purge your emotions is going to be really helpful. If you guys have, a trusted friend you like to talk to, reaching out to somebody might help. Working with a therapist could help, like a trained therapist. Like I said, doing journaling exercises, just anything to kind of, get what's going on inside out on, express it and get it out there. But I want to see what advice your guides have for you guys. Kind of wrap up our reading here, because yours is pretty concise. And I will say, you know, South Node and Capricorn's difficult energy. By having South Node here really means, you know, you guys have learned and mastered in this previous lifetime how to handle challenges. So for you guys, handling challenge is a unique situation, because I feel like a lot of you guys are not afraid of challenge, but you're afraid of like stagnancy. I feel like also too, when you handle challenge, you compartmentalize and you kind of put you know, your emotions on the back burner, or it's like, okay, I'm going to deal with what's in front of me right now. I'm going to overcome this. Then I'll have time to feel my feelings. Or then I'll have time to kind of sit and reflect on it. And you might do this so often that you're accidentally like really, you have like a lot of pent up emotions, or whatever does evade your awareness can go unnoticed for a really long time. So I feel like generally speaking, you guys don't have a lot that will rattle your cage. You can handle a lot of challenges, but whatever is in your blind spots stays there for a long time, because generally speaking, it goes unchallenged. People see you as very self-sufficient, very independent, and thus people also might not notice when you're struggling with something or when something is off. So this is like, there needs to be a tower moment, because there needs to be this acknowledgement, this purge of these sort of background programs that have gone unchallenged for a long time. Because I cut the deck and we have the World. And at the bottom too, we have the Four of Wands reversed. This can also talk about something where, you know, something that brings you happiness and joy is deconstructed or is, you know, broken down. But in doing so, it's a personal victory. It's something that brings you a lot of happiness and stability internally, a lot of kind of spiritual peace. This can also be a significant relationship, either romantic or with a soul tribe member, or talking about a home that has fallen apart. Yeah, something that brought you a lot of joy a lot of satisfaction that you felt was meant for you has come crashing down or is being deconstructed in front of your eyes. And I feel like you guys are having a hard time with that, because it's like, I found this, I built this, this was my little oasis, this was, you know, I worked so hard all the time, and this was my one little thing for me. And it kind of is like very, very frustrating. And I feel like you guys are going back and forth between getting, you know, like on the verge of purging those emotions and then drawing it back and be like, nope, I'm just going to keep my head down. I'm just going to keep going, rebuild. Before we rebuild, we have to sweep away the rubble. That's what's going on now. So your guides are saying, well, we have the Ace of Wands for advice. We have the Nine of Wands reversed. Yes. Okay. The Queen of Cups reversed. I'm not freaking surprised. And the Nine of Cups reversed. Oh, honey. Okay. So your guides are saying, first of all, there is going to be a new beginning. It's on the horizon. It's on its way. You know this, but you're tired. We saw this even early on. You are tired. You need to, spiritually and energetically, you need to rest to be prepared for this next adventure, this next new beginning, right? Because I feel like, like I said, you're exhausted, particularly energetically, and with the Queen of Cups reversed, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, emotionally exhausted. She's also the only Cups card that in the traditional deck has a lid on the cup, meaning she has very tight control over her emotions. She's very much in control of her feelings. When she's reversed, this kind of would indicate, you know, the cup is upside down, the lid is off the cup. There is a need for emotional purge, because this will build up if you're not aware of it, and you will kind of like emotionally blow a gasket. And your team is kind of saying, in order to move forward and make something stable, which they know you want to build, this has to happen first. You gotta, again, you know, sweep away the rubble. You gotta move through these programs, move through these emotions, do this purge in order to build something stable. Because with the Nine of Cups, they want to acknowledge that something that you really wanted didn't work out, something that you really wanted came crashing down. But there is this realignment process that's happening right now to get you to something that's either better suited for you, or, you know, even if it's a similar situation, that's more stable, right? Because again, you have those background programs that most people don't notice, even you might not notice, but that can cause problems. And the biggest problem is burnout. We're seeing this all over your spread here. burnout is a huge problem that you might face if you don't take time to rest, recuperate, time to check in with your emotions, time to purge old emotions. So doing regular emotional maintenance is really important. This kind of has this energy where, maybe once a year you'll take a vacation that's just for you, or maybe this is where you start going to therapy like every week or every other week or something. You do a spiritual retreat once a year, something like that. Just to kind of help you get in touch with and purge these old emotions. And I feel like you guys are struggling with it, but it's actually, once you kind of like surrender and sort of ease into it, you're going to find it's a lot more intuitive and a lot easier than you anticipated. It's just, you guys are not afraid of hard work, and this is work, but it's just a different kind of work. So maybe approaching it with that perspective of like, I'm going to learn how to master my emotions. So this way I am even more self-sufficient. I'm even more on track to accomplish my goals. Might be kind of a mindset to help you through this process. So I think this is just about everything that I'm seeing for you guys. I hope this has been helpful. It has been a joy to get to read for you today. I hope I get to again very soon. I'm wishing you guys the best, brightest, most beautiful things that life has to offer. Take care, love bugs. Bye.